Hello everyone, I'm Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IAS English. In our today's video, we'll try to understand why Afghanistan and Pakistan, despite both being Islamic countries, why are they at war with each other presently? Now, this situation actually exacerbated on the morning of 27th of February, that is today. Now, in 27th of February, Pakistan bombed Kabul and two other Afghanistan provinces, and this happened after yesterday Afghanistan launched a cross-border attack on Pakistani army located in Pakistan. Now, describing this situation, Pakistan's Defense Minister Khwaja Asif, he termed that Pakistan presently is in open war with Afghani government, which is led by Taliban. Now, can you trace the origin of this war? Many people would say that the sequence of events that have happened in the past few months, when Pakistani government accused Kabul of harboring Tehreek-e-Taliban terrorists, was the source of conflict. But I'd say no, this is not the origin of the conflict. Because the distrust between Afghanistan and Pakistan, the sense of insecurity in the minds of Afghani people towards Pakistan goes back since 1947. And you'll be surprised to know since 1947, except a brief period of time, both of these countries have had a very bad relationship. So we'll understand that also. Now, many people also term Afghanistan as a graveyard of empires. So does that mean in an ongoing conflict with Afghanistan, will it lead to disintegration of Pakistan? So we'll try to understand that also in the video. Okay. Now the notes which I will be using in our today's class, in case if you want to download them, and you should because these are important for your notes, you can go to a particular Telegram channel called as ATS Live. And while you're at it, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel also. So to understand the origin of mistrust that the Afghanis and Pakistans have with each other, we need to divide our discussions into different headings. So what are the sources of concerns between Afghanistan and Pakistan? We'll try to understand that. And the first source of concern is the Durand line. Now, Durand line presently is the international boundary which separates Pakistan and Afghanistan. And for a long period of time, Afghanistan has refused to recognize this as an international boundary. So this is the first source of concern. Second is the Pakistan control over the trade and transit that happens between Afghanistan and other countries in the region, because Pakistan invariably uses its control over trade and transit route as a method to coerce Afghanistan into believing what Pakistani army wants it to believe. And third is the social contradiction. As you can understand, Afghani people are basically Pashtun by the ethnicity, and this is in source of conflict when it comes to the demographic composition of Pakistan, because in Pakistan, the army as well as government is basically controlled by Punjabi speaking people. So this social contradiction is also what creates a sense of tension between the countries. So for the sake of simplicity, we'll divide our today's discussion in these three sources of conflict, and then we'll try to ascertain how this conflict would have implications on Pakistan, on the region's geopolitics, and how it can create an opportunity for India to make things a bit more difficult for Pakistan. First, let us understand what is a Durand line. Durand line basically is a 2640 kilometer international boundary that separates Pakistan and Afghanistan. And this is basically a source of concern for Afghanistan. And can you guess who actually delineated this Durand line? It was none other than the Britishers. Most of the problems presently in the world can be traced back to British colonial regime. And this is even true with respect to Afghanistan and Pakistan, because despite the disapproval of Afghanistan, Britishers, borrowing the name of Sir Mortimer Durand, who was at that time the Foreign Secretary of British India, he delineated the line that is Durand line. But originally, the intention of establishing this Durand line was to separate the spheres of influence that existed between Britishers and Afghani people, and it was never meant to act as an international boundary. But once it was demarcated, the Britishers de facto and for de jure purposes, they treated this as an international boundary. And this is what Pakistan even highlighted when they got their independent country. They wanted this Durand line to continue so that it can create a separation between Afghanistan and Pakistan, and Afghanistan did not like this at all. So when Britishers were leaving India back in 1947, the Afghanistan, they urged Britishers to relinquish this Durand line agreement. Had it been materialized back then, you should realize the regions that are located south and east of Indus River would have belonged to Pakistan, and every region west of Indus River that includes presently Pashtun dominated areas in Pakistan would have belonged to Afghanistan. Can you think if that would have been true? Right? But Britishers refused to do that. And consequently, it was Afghanistan who was the only country which went against the decision of UN to include and give recognition to Pakistan as a sovereign state. So first bone of contention between these two countries is the recognition of Durand line as an international boundary, which the Afghanistan don't like it at all. Second region is the trade and transit. You need to understand Afghanistan is a landlocked country. Afghanistan does not have access to sea coast. So for trade and transit to happen in Afghanistan, there are basically multiple options that Afghanistan has. Afghanistan can rely on its western borders, which it shares with Iran. It can rely on its eastern borders, which it shares with Pakistan, and it can rely on northwest and northern borders, where the Central Asian republics are present, which were formerly belonging to Soviet Union. Okay, so out of all these routes, Afghanistan basically prefers the Pakistani route. Now, whenever there is a trade opportunity from India to Afghanistan were to happen, so Afghani government always wants the Pakistani government to allow any trade that happens from the Wagah border located on the Indian side, so that the trucks carrying goods and services can enter into Pakistan, take the route of Pakistan and then enter into Afghanistan. But Pakistan, obviously being Pakistan, not reasonable at all, they have stubbornly refused Indian exports and Indian aid to pass through this Wagah border route and enter eventually into Afghanistan, and this creates negative feelings in Afghanistan. However, what is a greater cause of concern on the Afghani side is the denial of Pakistan to let the Afghanis use their land routes as well as Karachi port for any international trade. So what you understand from this is that Pakistan uses the opportunity, uses its geography, uses the connectivity and transit as a method to coerce Afghanistan into acceding to its demands, and this creates another source of tension between the countries. Similarly, the third source of tension is the Pakistan Punjabi as well as Afghanistan's Pashtun divide. Now you have to understand there is a historical difference in the way of life that exists on the western side of Indus, that are predominantly Baloch and Pashtun people, and on the eastern side of Indus, which predominantly has Punjabi and Sindhi speaking population. Now the people who belong to Afghanistan, that are basically Pashtun people, they eventually have been co-opted by the Pakistani state, especially the Pashtuns who are living in Pakistani regions, in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, even in the Karachi belt. But the differences, regardless, have not been bridged completely. And I'll tell you the reason why the differences have not been bridged. First of all, the Pakistani Pashtuns, they support or they exhibit support to the Afghani brethren, and they have considered for a long period of time to have a source of autonomy in the regions where in Pakistan the Pashtuns predominantly live. These regions were earlier given a higher levels of autonomy under the Act of Federally Administered Tribal Areas or Tribal Agencies, FATA. Now these areas were erased back in 2018, and this has created a sense of insult in the eyes of Pashtun that Pakistani state or the Pakistani armed forces, which continue to be dominated by Punjabi speaking people, they are trying to weaken the Pashtun ethnicity that exists across the Durand border, both on the side of Pakistan and on the side of Afghanistan. And this is the one reason why, even despite coming back to power, the Taliban has refused to act against the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, which is responsible for killing so many Pakistani troops. And this is the real bone of contention. Why this is a real bone of contention, I'll tell you. Because for a long period of time, the Pakistani state and the Pakistani armed forces, they feel that whenever Afghan needed them, especially during the time of Soviet invasion, where Pakistan hosted thousands and lakhs of Afghani refugees, it gave safe refuge to 7 Mujahideen groups so that they were able to face the brunt of Soviet empire. So the Pakistani establishment, they think that the Afghani should be forever thankful to them. They also say that when the USA was invading Afghanistan, they provided support to the tribals, especially the Talibani tribals, right? So based on these two recognitions, the Pakistani establishment want the Afghani people, the Afghani government to remain forever grateful for them. Now, on the other hand, the Afghanis feel that whatever help you did some help, but that help was not because you wanted the best for us. The help that Pakistan provided to Afghanistan to counter the Soviet invasion, to counter the American invasion, was for Islamabad's own interest. So Afghani people feel, or the Afghans feel, that Pakistan's demand for gratitude, that is forever gratitude, is basically misplaced idea. It is not something that Pakistan did out of welfare. It The Pakistan did this kind of a activity just so that it benefits the Pakistan state, not benefiting the Afghani state. Now, what happened that Pakistan have always considered the relation that India and Afghanistan has with an eye of suspicion. Pakistan has always feared that it would feel or face the two front war that can happen both on Indian and Afghani side. So therefore, Pakistan and its establishment has wanted the Kabul to limit their ties with India. Now for decades, what is happening that Pakistan's military has nurtured Afghan's Taliban. It has provided them with training, it has provided them with funds, arms and ammunition, and also provided them with sanctuary whenever they were facing invasion, be it the Soviet time or be it the American time. And they have hoped that whenever there is a friendly Taliban-led government that will be established in Kabul, it will be more amenable to Pakistani interest rather than Indian interest. So when they came back to power in 2021, Pakistani thought that the Talibani government would take action against the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. But both Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan and Taliban, they share ideological affinity, both subscribe to the very hardline approach of Islamism, and they also share tribal ties. Both are Pashtun in nature. And this has prevented Kabul, which is ruled by a Talibani government, to take any action against the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. And one thing that people have forgotten, the Pashtuns, the most quality that they desire a lot is their independence. So no government in Afghanistan, be it a democratically elected government or be it a Talibani elected government, no government in Afghanistan would want their foreign policy to be dictated by a government sitting in Islamabad, right? And this is what is there a source of concern between these two countries. First of all, Pakistan thought that we have helped Afghanistan, so they will remain forever grateful. But what do Afghanistans cherish most? They cherish their independence. So they don't want Pakistan to interfere in their matters of foreign policy. Now, how does it create implications for various actors in the region? Let us understand this. First is Pakistan. Now, Pakistan right now is facing a two-front challenge. First front challenge is the war that they have with Afghanistan, and second is the internal militancy, that is their own chickens who have come home to roost. Now, this is a two-front challenge that Pakistan faces presently. But if it materializes in the future, it can lead to a 3 or 4 front challenge. How? I'll tell you. Now, there is a possibility, everybody knows, that US or Israel may get into conflict with Iran. So this two front will add another challenge, that is instability in Iran borders. And what if India thinks to get the best out of this situation, India can increase the pressure on Pakistani border in its western part. So this two front challenge can easily become a third or a 4-front challenge for Pakistan. So this creates a risk factor as far as Pakistan army is concerned. Similarly, on Pakistan, there is a growing international pressure that many allies of Pakistan, like China, like Gulf countries, they have invested a lot in economic projects in the region, be it Pakistan's or China-Pakistan economic corridor or be it other infrastructure projects that are established in the Belt and Road Initiative. Similarly, these allies of Pakistan, particularly China, is of the opinion that if any instability happens in the AFPAK region, Afghanistan and Pakistan region, it would lead to terror spillovers in their Central Asia as well as Xinjiang province, which is already terror-proof. Right? So this creates challenges not just for Pakistan, but its close allies that are Gulf states as well as China as well. Now, on the other hand, it creates an opportunity for India. India can see this opportunity and maintain or get a strategic re-entry into Afghanistan. It can use developmental and diplomatic channels to counter whatever Pakistan influences remain in Afghanistan and try to make sure that Afghani government, which is although presently led by Taliban, can be more amenable to whose interest? To Indian interest. But India at this time should also tread very carefully. Although it is a window of opportunity for India, but they should use this window of opportunity very cautiously so as to avoid being dragged into what is called as policy conflict or proxy conflict narrative, because Pakistan can use this as an example to show the world that it is not the tension between Pakistan and Afghanistan, rather India is fomenting this tension. So we should avoid getting sucked into this narrative and at the same time use this opportunity at its level best to repair our relations with Afghanistan and also make life a bit more difficult for Pakistan. Okay. Now, there is a question that have been asked in the lines of discussions we have already had today, right? But before that, we are right now in the process of taking admissions to our February batch, the classes of which have already started yesterday, that is 26th of February. You can still take admissions to those classes by taking or subscribing to the foundation batch, which are essentially the P2I batches. From prelims to mains to interview, everything will be covered, your GS and CSAT both. And if you want to take admissions in either 2027 or 2028 batches, which are ongoing, you can use the code ATS Live, and for that, you'll get maximum discounts. Now let us see the question that appeared in the 2022 exam. They gave you 5 countries and they asked you a question: which one of these 5 countries share borders with Afghanistan? Please do let me know the correct answers in the comment section. You can also take help of this map, which I've already attached in the slide before. And to download the notes, you can go to this particular Telegram channel called as ATS Live. What do you think about my analysis of the ongoing Afghanistan and Pakistan war, right? Please add to it. Do let me know your opinion in the comment section and I'll be eagerly waiting for it. This is all from my side for today. I'll see each other again quite soon. Please have a very good night.